Morning, everybody. Mark Ainley here from GC Realty Development and Straight Up Chicago Investor Podcast. I'm here today with John Warren. John Warren is a real estate broker focused on the investment side of things and also a housing provider himself in mostly the near western suburbs. John, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, what areas you operate in.
Yeah, so I mostly focus like Berwyn, Cicero area, Lyons, just kind of that corridor between 290 and 55. I always call them like the near western or near southwest suburbs because they're the ones that are literally bordering Chicago. Like one of the newest buildings we just picked up is right on the border of Chicago and Cicero on Roosevelt Road. So that's kind of the area where I work. We have a lot of units that are, I guess, we would consider affordable, or like workforce housing, affordable housing, where the rents are anywhere from $700 to like maybe $1,100, $1,200. So it's that, affordable housing everybody talks about. That's kind of what we do.
Nice. So based on what you just said and what I know also, you're operating more in the districts of District 1, 16, 9, and District 17 as far as Cook County goes.
Right.
How is, I don't know if you want to pinpoint one thing or give an example, but how is this new proposed ordinance? What are you fearful of how it'll interrupt you providing quality housing as you've been doing for almost a decade now in the area?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that's going to be tough. So they're obviously making it really hard to use a security deposit, which is similar to what the Chicago ordinance did, years ago. And I think most people in Chicago switched to moving fees, which I think they're also trying to make impossible. So essentially, it's going to be really hard to have any kind of security. When you're dealing with a tenant, that's kind of your security or your backstop if they mess up their part of the agreement. So that's going to be tough to deal with. I think there's been a lot of new regulations. Obviously, they just had the just housing stuff that came out this year, I believe. It started in January, which I think there's still a lot of people that don't know about that. That makes it more challenging to screen for criminal. Now you're not really able to do security deposits. Like one of the things we used to do with tenants, when you're trying to give somebody a second chance, where somebody's made a mistake, you could do things like, an extra half-month security deposit or a double security deposit, even in some cases where people had really tough stuff in their records or an eviction. It's going to be really hard to take a chance on somebody now because you don't really have any way to secure yourself. And then you have no leverage with them if they kind of go off the rails. So that's going to be tough. I'm hoping that does not make it through. That's one of the things I always liked about being in the suburbs instead of in the city. Is you had the ability to use security deposits, which I actually really like. I've actually never taken a security deposit, which is kind of funny. I just like it because the tenants really value that, and they tend to, that's always in the back of their mind. So that helps with behavior, which helps the whole tenant community, right? When you own an apartment building, that's what you're looking for. Keep the peace, keep everybody happy so they can live their lives.
Exactly. So you have, from what I know, you've built your operation kind of whether it be helping other investors or your own buildings in that pocket that you're in just west of the city. I know you've stayed out of Cook County. I'm sorry. I know you've stayed out of Chicago due to some of this additional regulation. How do you think this will curb yours or people, in your circles, investment options when it comes to choosing to invest in Cook County?
I think that, a lot of investors will initially be scared off. It's not that nobody will invest, but I think what will happen is it'll change the way people invest. This is one of the things that's hard. I'm sure when I've never had to make policy. We were chatting before this out, neither of us are in politics. It's always hard because when any policy you make, there's unintended consequences. I think the thing that most people will do is they will look to move out of that kind of affordable housing bandwidth into an area where they think they have more security. So what they'll probably do, in my opinion, is they'll move away from having kind of that workforce housing type of apartment complex because it's a lot of risk if you can't do a security deposit, a move-in fee. There's no late fees. Like there's not really a good way to manage things and keep the peace and keep the community safe and quiet. So I could see condo conversions happening more, as some of these areas, if there's not an option to really do apartments, I think affordable housing could decrease from that. And I think a lot of investors will probably find other ways that'll actually be worse than a security deposit, would be my guess, for tenants. And at the end of the day, that's the thing. It's like people adjust, So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. If this proposal goes through, it's going to be a shock to people's systems and to the way it's been done. What are you guys seeing on your end? Or what are you thinking that most people will do, investors? You think that they're going to flee completely, or you think they'll try to adjust or change their strategy?
Well, so I already see this in a couple of different industries around real estate, that people stay away from Illinois in general because of regulation. And a lot of where the opportunity is in Illinois is in that 30-mile radius around from State and Madison, the 0 point. But so you see a lot of people already avoiding it. And then you have the people then that will choose to have certain areas because they want to stay either outside of Chicago because of regulation there, or they'll avoid the villages that have already the rental licenses in effect there. And now I think this is going to pigeonhole them either to certain areas further out west that have less regulation, maybe call it DuPage County or King County, if they can find the opportunity there, or they'll just go to another more housing provider friendly metropolitan area somewhere in the Midwest that might benefit from the regulation we put in place here.
Yeah, I always wonder about that because it's if people look at it and there's too much risk, then they'll just take their money elsewhere, which is exactly what you don't need if you're thinking about the building stock, the aging building stock that needs that investment. And I know affordable housing is always the thing people are looking for, right? They're always, everybody always wants more of it. It's just not very easy to build, but we're really fortunate to have so much of it. And so it's like if we discourage investment in that affordable housing, it all just kind of deteriorates and eventually becomes unusable. I know there's some areas of the city that are pretty rough, like the building stock just is so, poorly kept. And that's the thing, you want to encourage that investment so that affordable housing stays available and it stays in good condition and safe and livable.
Yeah, you bring in an important point there, a handful of important points. I'll say that, you just look at the example of a $700 rental rate. If because the unintended consequences or an owner's trying to offset the risk, or a different type of housing provider comes in and that will work with regulation like this, also that $700 rent could possibly go up to $900, which that's a huge percentage for somebody that's on a week-to-week type pay scale that's just looking for affordability. So, and you brought up one other important point there that I'll pull out, is just the second chance. The whole idea of, can I take a chance on this tenant because I have enough security deposit or prepaid rent or whatnot, is going to be something that is an unintended consequence, because people will think twice about taking that second chance.
That's one of the things that's always bothered me, about some of the rules that we've created in Illinois, because I'm sure it all started in a good place, right? There were bad landlords, bad managers in the past that did things that were not right to people. And so then we create regulation. And then I think a lot of times what happens is the regulation creep starts to happen, or there's one isolated incident where somebody does something, you're like, well, we got to change everything. And I actually think that overall, I've always told people when they're looking in Cook County to invest in the suburbs, especially, that it was relatively fair and balanced. The only downside is that evictions take way too long. The court system is extremely inefficient. I used to own a property in Indiana, and we would, of course, nobody ever wants to evict, but when the inevitable did happen, it's about a 3-week process. So what that actually meant, though, is we could take a chance on somebody there, somebody with a really rough criminal record or something like that. Like I remember one instance, we took a chance on a sexual predator, actually. And it was, and it's one of those things where in Cook County, you'd be scared because if they tie you up in court and they find one of those like ambulance chaser attorneys or whatever, you could be in court for 6 months. In Indiana, you had the opportunity to actually help somebody because your risk was a lot lower. So you could give them that chance. So I think that's one of the things that is missed in this regulation. Is it's going to make it really hard to help people that need the affordable housing so badly. So then the only people that'll be able to take advantage are the ones that don't need it as much, which is kind of ironic. All people will do is they'll tighten credit score requirements, income requirements, things like that.
Agree. And I don't know and you're on BiggerPockets a lot. I've seen a lot more chatter about Northwest Indiana in the last couple of weeks by people that have been primarily putting their money into Cook County and Chicago land area the last 10 years. So I don't know if that's coincidental or a byproduct of all this chatter about what's to come. So John, thank you very much today. I appreciate you taking your time to chat with us. Any closing thoughts?
Well, I'm hopeful that the people that are behind this legislation listen to both sides and they talk to people that are in the business of providing the affordable housing that we need so badly. There are a lot of good operators and good managers in the city, a lot of mom and pop landlords that are trying to do the right thing. And especially during the pandemic, this is not the time to rush something like this through without a whole lot of thought. I mean, this is, in my opinion, bad law or bad legislation. And I think they could take some time and create maybe a better ordinance that would actually improve things and do what they're intending to do. Because I think at the root of it, I always believe that people want to have the same thing, safe, affordable, good neighborhoods for people to live in. So, it'd be good to keep the conversation going, frankly.
Yeah, very valid point. I think both sides of this, just how they're getting to that is the issue. So, John, thank you for joining us here today. And I appreciate you as always hanging out with you, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.